Okay, class, so today we're going to be talking about the population. So every year, as many of us know, there are many babies being born and people passing away. Both have an impact on the size of our population. The main question is our population increasing or is it decreasing due to these factors? In order to figure this out, we must look at two things. The first thing we must look at is the global birth rate, which is the number of births per 1,000 people in a given year. The second thing we must look at is the global death rate, which is the number of deaths per 1,000 people in a given year. The most recent data about the global birth and death rate was collected in 2018, so that is what we're going to be using for our activity today. So, the global birth rate in 2018 was 18 per 1,000 people. The global death rate, on the other hand, was 7 per 1,000 people. I want you guys to recognize that the birth rate is obviously higher than the death rate, and that it is a little less than half. Therefore, the human birth to death ratio is 18 births for every 7 deaths. If the birth rate is higher than the death rate, the population increases. This is known as population growth. If the death rate is higher than the birth rate, the population decreases. And this is exactly what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to actually do a demonstration and see what actually is going on. I also want you guys to know that the birth and death rates have been changing. They change due to many different things. For example, in 1960, the death rate was 17 per 1,000 people. This has obviously decreased since the data has shown that in 2018 it was 7 per 1,000 people. At this point, you could ask your students why the number has decreased, and hopefully they will understand that it is because we have come a long way since then. There's a lot of advances in technology and medicine, and just many people are living rather than dying. There are two symbols that we're going to be using for today to represent birth and death. The first one is the stork, and that is going to represent birth. The second one is the Grim Reaper, and that is going to represent death. The activity I chose is called the Stork and the Grim Reaper, and its overall purpose is to have students understand that the population growth occurs when a species' birth rate exceeds its death rate. There are 3 objectives with this activity, and that is that students will be able to define both death and birth rate. They will be able to describe the population size and how it is impacted by the birth and death rate. And finally, they will be able to explain why the birth rates change. The grade level for this activity is 4th grade. The subject area includes social studies, because of geography and history, math because of ratios and conversions, and science because of the life cycle of a human. Okay, students, so as I stated before, the global birth rate to death rate is 18:7. At this time, you will want to ask the students before the activity to start to hypothesize how the birth rate and death rate are going to impact the population based on the data from 2018. Some of them might connect that is going to increase because of what I've said before. Others aren't going to be sure about that. They're going to be like, well, I don't know. But having them think about it is going to get them ready or even excited to see what's going to happen. Okay, students, so now let's explore how the birth and death rates impact the population size through a short demonstration. This is a clear bowl, and it represents the world. The color water in the bowl, which, as you can see, it is green, represents the people currently living on our planet. To represent births, we will be adding water from this bowl into this bowl. To represent deaths, we will be taking population or the green water from this bowl and putting it into this bowl. I want you guys to not focus really on these two bowls, but this bowl, because this is what's going on with our population. So yeah. Normally, if you were in a classroom setting, you would have students help you or pick two students to help with this activity, but that is not going to be the case today. Okay, so I have two measuring cups. One is obviously bigger than the other. This one is 1 cup, and this one is 1/3 cup. Now, I want you guys to think about which cup is going to represent the stork and which cup is going to represent the Grim Reaper. At this point, hopefully students will be thinking, which cup is which? And since the birth rate is higher than the death rate, the stork will be on the bigger cup and the Grim Reaper will be on the smaller cup. Before starting the demonstration, you will want to ask the students to explain to maybe a partner what they think will happen to the level of the water throughout the demonstration. You want to give them enough time to think about it and just talk to a partner and get their thinking out there. Hopefully they'll catch that the water will rise, but you never know. Okay, students, so let's see what will happen. To start off, I am going to mark where the level starts so that we can see exactly what is going on. Is it going to be higher than that line, or is it going to be below that line? So let's see. So I'm going to take my stork cup and grab a cup of water and pour it in. Notice that the water has kind of risen a little, but now we have to take some out because of the death. Now we're just going to keep on doing this until we can clearly see what is going to happen. Is it going to increase? or is it going to decrease? We want to make sure that we're doing an even amount. When the water has clearly risen or whatever, that is where you can stop. Now after this demonstration, you will want to ask students to describe if the population increased or if it decreased. The goal is that hopefully the students will recognize that it has increased. Since the white line is down here, it has increased. To really get them thinking, you can ask them what the stork measuring cup would need to be in order for the water level to remain the same, and what that ratio would be. Hopefully students would be able to realize that since the Grim Reaper cup is 1/3, that the stork cup will also have to be 1/3. Therefore, the ratio would be 1:1. Another question you could ask is, how would the water be able to decrease, and what could the ratio be? So in order for the water level to decrease, you obviously have to have the death rate be bigger than the birth rate. And there are many different ratios that would work. They have to kind of be far enough apart. So, for example, the death rate to birth rate, 31:10. So some modifications for this activity to help students with different learning styles would be for visual learners to have a PowerPoint like this one, but with more pictures and graphs, and to really have them look at what is happening in this bowl. For auditory learners, you want to have them talk with a partner, and really group discussion as well. But when they talk to a partner first, it really gets them thinking about different ideas, and maybe their partner has an idea that they've never thought of. And then coming back as a group, it gives them even more ideas. For kinesthetic learners, you would want them to participate in this activity. One way would be to split the class into two even groups, and have bigger bowls than these ones with water, and to have them take turns on doing this process so that everybody is involved in doing it. For tactile learners, you could have them draw a picture of the bowl before and after the demonstration, and you could have them explain what is going on. If this is done with older students, like in maybe around 7 to even in the high school level, you would want to have questions be a little bit higher thinking. And you can even do this as a lab. You can have them break into smaller groups of 2 to 3 people, and you could have them read the instructions and think of a hypothesis and actually find the result, and then answer questions based on their findings. A few ideas that could be done after this activity is to have students explain what they saw by drawing it. They could look at different countries' birth and death rates to find their ratios and what measuring cup size would be used for that activity. They could think of different ways to show this activity that's different from water, such as adding and taking away pennies in jars. So yeah.